Hello students, welcome back to your history class. Okay, in all the videos, I request you to check the description box once. There are occasions when I link a quiz or I link an assignment or an activity over there, which I require you all to do. So please don't forget to check the description box from today onwards. Okay, so last class we saw what was a caliphate and how a caliphate was created so that after the Muhammad there was nobody to take over, and so a caliphate was created. We saw the creation of caliphate, and the objective of caliphates were to remain to retain the control over the tribes and to raise the resources for the state. Now, after the death of Muhammad, lots of tribes they broke away from Islamic state. All right, some were some started to raise their own prophets to establish communities modeled on the Ummah. So they started to make communities which were modeled on Ummah, and they started to make their own prophets. We spoke about the first prophet Abu Bakr here. Abu Bakr, he suppressed the revolts by a series of campaigns, and the second caliph, that was Umar, he shaped the Umar's policy of expansion of power. This caliph, he knew that Umar would not be maintained out of modest income derived from trade and taxes. And so, realizing that rich booty, that is ghanima, could be obtained from expeditionary raids, the caliph and his military commanders mustered the tribal strength to conquer the lands belonging to Byzantine empires in the west and the Sasanian empires in the east. Because of their power, at the height of their power, Byzantine and Sasanian empires ruled vast territories, and they commanded huge resources to pursue their political and commercial interest in Arabia. The Byzantine Empire promoted Christianity, and the Sasanian Empire they patronized Zoroastrianism. The ancient religion of Iran was Zoroastrian. On the eve of the Arab invasions, these two empires, that is Byzantine and Sasanian, they had declined in strength due to religious conflicts and revolts by the aristocracy. This made it easier for the Arabs to annex the territories through wars and treaties. In three successful campaigns, the Arabs brought Syria, Iraq, Iran, and Egypt all under the control of Medina. The military strategy, religious fervor, and the weakness of the opposition, it all contributed to the success of Arabs. Now, the campaigns were launched by the third caliph, that is Uthman. You have to remember what each and every caliph does. This is all there in your textbook, so you can mark it. So now, the third caliph, Uthman, he launched campaigns to extend the control up till Central Asia. So within a decade of the death of Muhammad, the Arab Islamic State was controlled, and it had controlled the vast territory between the Nile and the Oxus. These lands remain under Muslim rule up till today. Okay, now in all the provinces that were conquered by the caliphs, they imposed a new administrative structure that was headed by governors, that is amirs, and tribal chieftains, that is ashraf. The central treasury, that is Beit Alman, it was obtained. The central treasury obtained its revenue from taxes that were paid by Muslims, as well as its share of the booty because of the trades. The Caliph's soldiers, mostly Bedoons, they settled in a camp. They settled in camp cities at the edge of the desert, such as Kufa and Basra, to remain within the reach of their natural habitat as well as Caliph's command. So they started to live on the edge of the desert. The ruling class and the soldiers received shares of booty and monthly payment, that is atta. The non-Muslim population retained their rights to property and religious practices on payment of taxes, that is kharaj and jizya. Jews and Christians, they were declared protected subjects of the state, dhimis, and they were given a large measure of autonomy in the conduct of their communal affairs. So they were given a large measure of autonomy in the conduct of their communal affairs. They were allowed to keep their religion. Okay. So Jews and Christians, they were declared as protected subjects. Now, political expansion and unification, this did not come easily to the Arab tribes. The territorial expansion, the unity of Ummah became threatened because of the territorial expansion. The unity of Ummah became threatened. Sorry. I'm so sorry. So the territorial, because of the territorial expansion, the unity of Ummah was threatened by conflicts over the distribution of resources and offices. The ruling class comprised almost entirely of the Quraysh of Mecca. The third caliph, Uthman, was also a Quraysh, and he packed his administration with his own men. So he filled his administration with his own men to secure greater control. This intensified the Meccan character of the state and the conflict with the other tribesmen. So this was not going down well with the other tribesmen. Opposition in Iran and Iraq, combined with the opposition in Medina, led to the assassination of Uthman. And after Uthman's death, who became the fourth caliph? Ali. The rifts among the Muslims deepened after Ali, and it fought two wars against those who represented the Mecca aristocracy. Ali's supporters and enemies later came to form the two main sects of Islam. The two main divisions were done. This was done by Ali's supporters and Ali's enemies. These two sects were called Shias and Sunni. Ali established himself as at Kufa, and he defeated an army that was led by Muhammad's wife Aisha. And in the Battle of the Camel, Aisha in the Battle of Camel 657, he was not able to suppress the faction that was led by the faction that was led by Muawiyah, that was a kinsman of Uthman and the governor of Syria. Ali's second battle at Siffin ended in a truce which split his followers into two groups. So with his fight at Siffin, okay, he had to end up with a truce, and because of that, his followers were split into two groups. Some who remained loyal to him, while others left the camp and they started to be known as Kharjis. Afterwards, Ali was also assassinated by a Kharji in a mosque at Kufa. After his death, his followers paid allegiance to his son Hussein, and after that, his descendants. Muawiyah made himself the next caliph in 661, which was founding the Umayyan dynasty, which lasted till 750. After all the wars, after all the civil wars, it looked as if the Arab domination would disintegrate because of the wars. It looked like the Arab domination was going to disintegrate. There were also signs that the tribal conquerors were adopting the sophisticated culture of their subjects, and it was under the Umayyad, a prosperous clan of Quraysh tribe, that a second round of consolidation took place. So it was under Umayyad that a prosperous clan of the Quraysh type, that is, the second round of consolidation took place. So now we'll see a small video about the caliphate. Okay. Okay, we see this small video about caliphate.
Caliphate is the title of rulership in Islam, or leadership in Islam, that emerges after the death of Prophet Muhammad in the year 632, when the Muslims are faced with a choice, or a series of choices about how they want the politics of their community to work. Prophet Muhammad had said he was the last of the prophets. There couldn't be a new prophet. They had to find a new model of leadership. They didn't want to look back to the old models of kingship and empire and so on that were associated with the civilizations that they, the Byzantine and Old Persian civilization. They wanted something new, and the word, the idea of the caliphate slowly emerges. Caliph comes from the Arabic word khalifa, which means either a successor, as in successor to the Prophet Muhammad, or it means deputy, as in deputy of God on earth. And so the idea, the word carries two quite different meanings. One of them is the deputy of God on earth is a very exalted title. It implies a divine status. So the word successor to the prophet of God means carrying on Muhammad's role as an administrator, as a military leader, but not, of course, the prophet. Nobody else can do that. And these two ideas emerge very early on, compete with each other very early on. And with them goes another concept of ideas, and that is who should choose the caliph. And one idea is that the caliph should be chosen by the Muslim community. Right, how this was going to be done was not clear. Clearly, it wasn't going to be an election in the modern sense of the word, but it's going to be a choice by the leading members. And that is the viewpoint that develops into the Sunni idea, of the Sunni Muslim idea of the caliph. But there's another idea that starts off very early on, and that is that the caliph, the ruler, should be chosen from the family of the Prophet. That is from Muhammad's daughter Fatima and her husband Ali and their descendants, and that this family has a particular status because God has chosen this family, and so they have not exactly, well, perhaps it's a semi-divine status, or at least lots of their adherents felt they were semi-divine status, and they had the knowledge, because God had chosen them, they had the knowledge to solve all those difficult problems that Muslims are confronted with about how you should behave, how you should live a proper religious life, what is Sharia, Sharia law, and what attitude should you take about it, how should you understand Quran. So these two ideas of caliphate emerge very early on. Caliph as chief administrator on the one hand, and the caliph as semi-divine religious leader and administrator on the other hand. And Muslims throughout the period of the caliphate have struggled in a way to reconcile these two, or to work out how they want to understand the caliphate.
Okay, so that was all about caliphate. Okay. Now, what I want you all to do for this class is I want you all to find some pictures of the Islamic coins, a specific specimen of Islamic coins of that era, and stick it in your notebooks. Okay. I also want you all to make notes on the teachings of Muhammad, what he thought were the main principles. And I also want you all to write a small definition, a small review on Mecca and Kaaba and Medina, these three things. Okay, with a picture in your notebook. I repeat three things. One is the coins. You're going to find a few coins of the Islamic times. Okay, so some Islamic coins, and you're going to stick that. Number two, you're going to write about the Muhammad teachings. And number three, you're going to write about Mecca, Medina, and Kaaba with a picture. All right. With this, I end today's class. Stay home, stay safe, take care, and keep learning. Thank you.